Well, it rained last night. It didn't just rain, it absolutely poured down. So the granary, the ground, is pretty wet. What happened today? The wind is coming up. It's a little bit cold. So what do you reckon your dogs are going to do today? Nah. These two crazies are having a really good time, really developing their relationship and getting to know each other. They work so well together because, well, they're both Kelpies, right? Wally here, he's a boy Kelpie. Sunny there, she's a girl Kelpie. So they're both as fast as each other. They both speak the same language. And you can see that what's happening is they get really close to each other, and the closer they get, the lower to the ground they get. Because if they're down on the ground at each other's levels, they can't get any more pleasing to each other, right? It's like, please, can I play with you? They're being super polite. And it's a nice way for these guys to both regulate themselves, especially for Wally, because he's learning to integrate into this social group and feel like he can integrate without the fear of making mistakes. What you'll notice, though, is floating around like a satellite is Flashy Nashy. You'll see him appear every now and again. The speed at which these two guys are playing at is something that is unnerving to Nashy, and that's something that I need to referee. So I don't have a problem with him expressing himself as a German Shepherd and patrolling around the edges like he is now. He just happens to float up and be there. He just happens to find himself in somewhere near their vicinity. And it's up to me to be vigilant, because it's not an accident that he's doing that. You'll notice that you're seeing a lot of Flashy Nashy whilst these two guys are trying to play. Now, Sunny is trying to get Wally to chase her so that she can turn everything into a herding game. Sunny enjoys the expression of stalk and chase, and Wally is unsure whether he's allowed to do that or not. So she's trying to speak to him to get him to do that. Now, conversely, what you can see here is that the Frobro running around getting really, really fast. Right? He doesn't like water. He doesn't like puddles. He doesn't like wet. So for him, what happens is he gets faster and faster as the day goes on, and I'm then called to make sure that he gets that relaxation time. Now, that might mean some crate time if the rest of the yard is quite busy, or I might just put him on lead and sit on place with him for a little while. However that looks, I'm going to help him out somehow and help him relax a little. But he might also come back and do this, right? Here's Funny Sunny again, playing with the Frobro. He wants to go really fast, she wants to go really fast. But what you'll notice is that Sunny's actually trying to say, hey, your speed is too fast, I need you to slow down. So do you see how the Frobro's not taking her hints? That's like Friday night at the pub, right? The guys are trying their hardest and the girls don't want anything. So she's going to need to escalate things at some point. She needs to growl at him. She needs to stop. She might need to bark at him. Eventually, I'll step in because that's my job. Well, the weather might suck. But that doesn't mean we don't have a good time, does it, mate? Sebby. Get in there, my sunshine puppy. So we can do other things like learning to take turns, learning to share the creature teacher. Wally? Nash? Codes. Very patient today. Bonnie. Not good enough. Learning to self-settle. Nash is doing a pretty good job here. It's an open crate. He's the one keeping himself in there. I haven't sent him in there. Learning to self-settle is hugely important, especially if you're a working breed like these guys. And even if you're chill pills like this dude. Even these cold and wintry days are really good and they're really valuable at school. Aren't they, Sebi? Because what these guys get to do is learn how to coexist without going too fast. Most of these guys prefer to stay in the dry. Some of these guys just don't care. And a few of them even like to go nuts in the water. The whole class has got to stay at a relatively even keel, right? Well, I can referee that, but it's ultimately these guys that have to be able to steer that. And these rainier days are an important facet of rounding out your students' development. Back to our likely larrikins, we've got the Frobro and we've got Wally here. You can see that Wally tries to dictate speed, i.e. he's actually trying to slow things down by getting low to the ground and onto his side. This is important because the Frobro is just coming in hard, he's coming in on top and he's going really, really hard, right? And Bonnie is realizing that this isn't beneficial. Bonnie. Now we've got to keep in mind that the Frobro isn't able to slow himself down so much because it's a wet day, right? This is something that he needs to learn to deal with and cope with. And before he can do that effectively, he first needs to build coping mechanisms. And until that time, it's up to me to nurture that along. You don't get to see the pupils on the video. Bonnie, come here, bud. There you go. You can see how dilated they are, and that means that the more pupil you see, essentially, the more reacting is going to occur. And our goal for Bonnie Bonbon, just the same as with Wacky Wally. Come here, bud. Let's have a look at your eyes. Wally. They stand out, don't they? Atta boy. The idea is to keep them small, kind of like this girl. Not because it's cute, but because it's a window to what's going on between their ears. Come on, guys. Smaller or normal pupils means that there's plenty of tolerance, plenty of thinking that can happen. Huge pupils mean there's lots of reacting that's going to happen. You're going to see the Sebinator and Peep and Poppy come up, and they're going to sit in the sun because that's what they do around about this time of day. And I'm going to do a nice scan of the yard to make sure I pick up all of the poo that has been left in the yard. So generally speaking, I'll do that 3 times a day as soon as I turn up to make sure they've got a clean yard to play in, and then at lunchtime, and then towards the end of the day to make sure that the yard is nice and clean. And then you're spot picking whenever you see something happen. And then we have time for some fun. So here we've got some one-on-one enrichment. We're on this nice big ag line, and I've got myself up there. That's no mean feat. And then we're going to get some of the students up there. So we start off with codes. We're going to do some backwards middling. We both got to balance ourselves here. She's doing really, really good. She's always doing really, really good. But getting off and getting on, that's the tricky bit. Now my legs are pretty tired from an exhausting weekend, so my balance is also kind of a little bit askew. Flashy Nashy's rock in the middle. I'm pretty stoked with how interested Wacky Wally is down the bottom here. You can see that tail is nice and long and swinging both ways. I'm pretty happy with that. And Nashy is able to get up high, get away from everyone else. He's just got some one-on-one time. He loves his one-on-one time with his favourite creature teacher. The middle is a really good position for teaching a lot of things, especially if you've got a defensive, reactive dog, or you live in a populated environment, if you live in an apartment block or any other high-density situation. The middle is a really great way of reducing the team's footprint anywhere at all. Whether you're at the Surf Lifesaving Club waiting for your tea and coffee, or whether you've got a defensive dog and you're suddenly stuck in a nasty situation, being able to middle your student is a great way of being able to have a safe and effective control, whilst at the same time being able to ward off potential triggers. And it doesn't really matter what those triggers are. It's great to see Funny Sunny join in. We haven't done this for a little while. We've done some middle work a long time ago, but we certainly haven't done it on an unstable surface like this. So I was really stoked with what she had to offer, and the amount of concentration and effort that she could put into it was actually really, really great, especially when you consider that she just spent the last few hours running around like a lunatic, and all of a sudden she can flick the switch and concentrate really hard. So let's see what Wacky Wally can do. He's happy to get up. That's a good sign. Oh, he found it. Let's get that out of his way. You're going to see that he wants to naturally duck his head out through the back because that's his means of escape. So what we can see here is that he's able to do what we want. He's able to deliver sustained effort, but as soon as the reinforcer is gone, then he's going to disappear out of the back. So that means that he's actually only doing the behavior because there is a reinforcer present. So is that a bad thing? Not at this stage. He's only learning, right? So that is irrelevant. What's going to happen over time is that we're going to put more and more repetitions in. He gets more and more comfort. We're training him as we go, and he's going to stop ducking his head out the back because we're going to make sure that he's finding investment not in the reinforcer that is visible and attainable, but in the workload that is involved for the performance. Alrighty, let's get the little girl up here. Let's get Peep and Poppy and see what she can do. Now, she's pretty nimble, she's pretty agile, she's pretty driven to do things. I'm pretty stoked with what she's able to deliver here. She's able to show you the next step that Wally is yet to graduate to. You can also see that Wally is still highly interested in what is going on, and that he's then learning by observation, not just by doing. And Poppy's done a great job. I'm pretty stoked. Let's see who's next. Nash, Wally, steady. Good man. Nash, Wally. Hey. Good boy. Steady. Steady. Good man. Nash, you two stop arguing, please. Now that the sun's out, I'm actually going to load these guys up and we're going to start making our way home. So I'd like to thank you for hanging around. If you've got any questions, please don't hesitate to write them below. You right, buddy? You can get in contact with me at admin@barefootpaws.com.au. I'd love to hear from you. I'd even love to see your little fooligan.